Good morning, and welcome to today's presentation on emerging nutrition trends for cardiovascular health. Cardiovascular disease is a leading cause of death across the globe. However, there is overwhelming evidence that most forms of cardiovascular disease are effectively prevented with a healthy dietary pattern and an active lifestyle. So why is there so much morbidity and mortality? We think the answer lies in confusion and lack of knowledge regarding what a healthy diet really is and easy access to unhealthy foods. We will attempt to clear some of the confusion regarding what a healthy dietary pattern is and give you some practical ways to help your patients implement a healthier lifestyle and reduce cardiovascular risk factors.
So what makes a food heart healthy or unhealthy? Healthy foods are going to contain high fiber, low glycemic index, healthy fats, like unsaturated fats and omega-3 fatty acids, high in antioxidants, low sodium, and even alcohol. Just don't go too much with the alcohol. Just 1 to 2 drinks per day have been shown to have cardioprotective effects. Wine is good due to its antioxidants and plant sterols and stanols that it contains. So the unhealthy foods are going to contain no fiber, high glycemic index, bad fats, which are saturated and trans fats, high cholesterol, and high sodium. Sodium is an important element that your body needs to balance fluids in the blood to maintain healthy blood pressure, and it's essential for nerve and muscle function. It becomes a problem if you overconsume it though, and the average American intakes 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. The dietary guidelines recommend sodium intake to be less than 2,300 milligrams per day, which is equal to 1 teaspoon of salt. So the average American is consuming an extra 1,100 milligrams of sodium per day. And 70% of dietary salt actually comes from eating packaged and processed foods. On this slide, we have healthy and unhealthy fats. Healthy fats include unsaturated and omega-3 fatty acids. Unsaturated fats are found in plant-based foods and oils, and they lower LDL and triglycerides. Omega-3 fatty acids are found in fish, seeds, and nuts, and lower LDL and raise HDL. Unhealthy fats include saturated fats and trans fats. Saturated fats are found in animal products like dairy and can lead to high LDL. Trans fats are man-made, which increase the shelf life of foods, but it comes at a cost by raising LDL and lowering HDL. Legumes are large, fleshy, colorful plant seeds. Beans, peas, and lentils are all types of legumes. They are a good source of protein and a good source of fat. They're high in unsaturated fats, especially monounsaturated, and low in saturated fats. They're high in fiber, high in antioxidants, and high in plant sterols and stanols.
Eating a whole grain is defined as eating a grain that is consisting of the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. Whole grains contain high levels of fiber and non-refined carbohydrates. The cardioprotective effects of whole grains are thought to be enhanced by replacing unhealthy foods with whole grains instead, which have a low glycemic index, so you get sustained energy and you stay full for a longer period of time. It decreases LDL cholesterol without decreasing HDL cholesterol or increasing triglycerides, and improves glucose-insulin homeostasis as well as gut health. Diets rich in fruits and vegetables significantly increase cardiovascular risk factors such as decreasing blood pressure, decreasing blood lipid content, counteracting insulin resistance because of its low glycemic index, decreasing inflammatory biomarkers, improving endothelial function, helping with weight control, and its high antioxidants and high plant sterols and stanols, which we are going to dive more into in the next slide. These cardioprotective effects are the result of complex interactions between the fiber, sugars, and phytonutrients and phytochemicals. They cannot be achieved with supplementation of vitamins that are found in fruits and vegetables. Plant sterols and stanols allow you to eat food with cholesterol more readily. They are bioactive components of many plants and whole grains that are ironically very similar to cholesterol at the molecular level, but they are not easily absorbed into our blood like cholesterol is. They fight cholesterol at the small intestine, blocking cholesterol absorption into the blood, leading to successful excretion of cholesterol and lower cardiovascular risk. Adding 2 grams of plant sterols and stanols each day lead to an 8 to 10% reduction of LDL cholesterol. So essentially, you could eat the meat that you want to eat. Just try and lower your portion of meat so that you don't get as much cholesterol and have a high portion of plants with it. That way the stanols and the sterols work to counteract that cholesterol that you just ate.
Now that we're aware of fruits and vegetables' potent cardioprotective effects, how many servings do you think are recommended each day? The correct answer is C. The American Heart Association recommends 4 servings of fruit and 5 servings of vegetable per day. This may seem like a lot, but if you just include a small amount with each meal and incorporate fruits and vegetables into your snack time, the servings quickly add up.
So what is the pathophysiology of a bad diet that can lead to cardiovascular disease? A higher intake of sodium in the diet contributes to the development of hypertension due to increased cardiac output and peripheral vascular resistance. The narrowing of the peripheral arterioles is controlled by the activation of the renin-angiotensin system, which further retains sodium and water, leading to hypertension. A higher intake of fats increases risk of heart attack by atherogenesis. This involves the adhesion of white blood cells to the artery walls, which then ingest LDL cholesterol from the bloodstream. These foam cells accumulate and deposit along arteries to create fatty streaks and hardening of the vessel walls. The loss of blood vessel compliance can produce ischemia and/or infarction. Increasing the intake of legumes can decrease blood pressure and cardiometabolic risk. In a meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials, consumption of soy-containing foods revealed trends toward lowering the systolic and diastolic blood pressure. Legumes provide an overall package of micronutrients, phytochemicals, and fiber that can possibly reduce cardiometabolic risk. This risk is described as a person's chance of having a cardiovascular event like heart attack or stroke. Increasing the intake of whole grains improves glucose-insulin homeostasis and endothelial function, and possibly even reduces inflammation. Consumption of whole grain oats reduces LDL cholesterol without reducing HDL cholesterol levels. Increasing consumption of fruits and vegetables lead to a decreased incidence of coronary heart disease. In randomized controlled trial studies, diets that emphasize consumption of fruits and vegetables produce substantial improvements in several risk factors for developing cardiovascular disease, including blood pressure, lipid levels, inflammatory biomarker levels, and weight control. Increasing consumption of plant sterols decreases the absorption of LDL cholesterol into the bloodstream. This reduces the risk of developing atherosclerosis and cardiovascular diseases. Since plant sterols and stanols is associated with lowering LDL levels without significant safety concerns for the patient, a healthcare professional, including physical therapists, could encourage the use of plant sterols and stanols in treating hypercholesterolemia. The Mediterranean diet is characterized by a high intake of olive oil, veggies, fruits, nuts, and cereals. It emphasizes a moderate intake of fish and a low intake of dairy and red meats. Mente et al. Performed a systematic review that has shown a causal link between dietary factors and the development of coronary heart disease. They ranked the Mediterranean diet as the most likely dietary model to provide protection against the development of coronary heart disease. Ramon et al. Found through 5-year observational cohort studies inverse associations between the adherence to the Mediterranean diet and having cardiovascular risks. The authors conclude that those on the Mediterranean diet had a lower rate of major cardiovascular events than those assigned to a reduced fat diet.
The DASH diet stands for the Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension and was developed after the NIH determined that dietary intervention alone was enough to decrease systolic blood pressure in both hypertensive and normaltensive people. It promotes eating vegetables and fruits, but also allows for eating lean meats, dairy products, and other micronutrients. It calls for decreasing sodium intake to less than 1,500 milligrams a day, which can easily be done by minimizing processed foods. The serving guide allows for 5 servings of vegetables a day, 5 servings of fruit, 7 servings of carbohydrates, 2 servings of low-fat dairy products, 2 or less servings of lean meat a day, and nuts or seeds 2 to 3 times a week. The DASH diet was also found to decrease blood sugar, triglycerides, LDL cholesterol, and insulin resistance, as well as play a preventative role in other conditions. Whole food, plant-based diet is an umbrella term that includes all plant-based diets ranging from vegan, vegetarian, or any diet where the consumer gets most of their nutrition from plant-based foods while avoiding meat-based foods. It includes also not eating processed or refined foods, sticking to whole foods. It does not need to be taken to the extremes of completely cutting off meat or processed foods, however. This approach can be interpreted to mean eat as little as possible of meats and processed foods and as much as possible of plants and whole foods. These methods have been proven to decrease blood pressure as well as LDL cholesterol and decrease the chance of developing heart and vascular disease.
There are so many supplements on the market, and it can be daunting trying to figure out what to take to help with a healthy lifestyle. The market of nutritional supplements has been increasing and is going to further increase due to growing interest in personal health and in the aging population. Although the effects of supplementation on cardiovascular risk and disease have been studied, it's not straightforward since these individuals who take the supplements usually have a healthier diet and lifestyle anyways. If you had to take a supplement that was going to give you the most bang for your buck, it would be vitamin D3. 50 to 70% of individuals are deficient in this vitamin, and low levels are associated with coronary artery disease, heart failure, and atrial fibrillation. Although you can get this vitamin from certain foods, the amount obtained is not enough for optimal levels.
So here I have put together an infographic that would be a good resource for our patients to recognize the kinds of dietary choices they can make to live a healthier lifestyle.
At the end of the day, applying a new diet can be a daunting task. The next 2 slides will outline some practical ways to help your patients make the switch to a healthier diet. Eating healthy does not mean eating boring. It's recommended to eat a variety of healthy foods to keep your diet interesting. Eating healthy starts at the grocery store. If you surround yourself with healthy foods, it's going to be easier to stick to those foods. It's recommended to replace one bad habit at a time rather than all at once to ensure some success while you're making the switch. Now that we know what foods are good and bad, having a healthy diet is as simple as eating more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff. There's no need to eliminate certain foods or stick to only a few different things. This isn't sustainable or enjoyable, and you'll be more likely to relapse. Build a healthy relationship with food by being mindful of how the nutrients and calories sustain all the complex processes in your body. And with all things, moderation is key. Dieting can be a source of stress for many people because it feels like it boxes us in and gives us limited options as to what we can eat. And if we're trying to improve cardiovascular health, then we know how bad stress can be. So rather than telling your patients that they should go on a diet, it's better to educate them about which foods are good and bad for the cardiovascular system so that they can be empowered to create their own personalized diet based on what they know about food and how it interacts with their body. Here are some more practical tips on how to get more of the good stuff. Dodge the triggers and establish safe zones at your home and office where you keep the bad stuff away. Share your mission with your friends and family. Having people around who share the same healthy lifestyle goals or support yours is helpful. Control availability because it's easier to be disciplined at the store rather than trying to resist the temptation around the clock at home. Create a repertoire of healthy snacks like fresh or frozen fruit, cinnamon top sweet potatoes, or nuts. And stick to whole foods. Dodge the aisles with artificial products like salty snacks or frozen dinners, and re-educate your palate to enjoy the natural sweetness of fresh fruit and vegetables.